everyone. Welcome to Plays in the House, Free Speech, Performing Artists, and the Power of the Spoken Word. My name is Dev Janke. I am your guest host today. I am also the artistic director of Live and in Color. Live and in Color is a not-for-profit theater company based both in New York and Connecticut that develops new plays and musicals that promotes and celebrates diversity. I'm super proud of the work we do. We've been around for 6 years, and we're going to show you a little video to give you a taste of who we are. You can find out a lot more about us at theaterincolor.org, so be sure to check that out. As some of you know, last week's Plays in the House offered free speech for the very first time. We featured actors from across the country offering monologues and songs and poetry that resonated with them during this time in our country's history. This week, we're excited to offer free speech, a writer's edition. This afternoon, we have playwrights and performing artists from around the country offering their own words and reflections. And we're all here raising funds for the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. The address will be below, so please donate. They are an extraordinary organization. So without further ado, I'm going to start bringing on our guests. I feel so honored to be in their company. They have some wonderful pieces to present to you. And first up is the amazing Janelle Lawrence. As a writer, composer, and lyricist, Janelle has had their musicals Subliminal, 'Tis the Season, and Group Therapy at various theaters in New York City, such as Club Manning, Teatro Latea, and Joe's Pub. Their operetta Mixing Marks with Madness was presented at Dixon Place on the main stage. Janelle Lawrence is the artistic director of Broad Views on Broadway, a not-for-profit theater dedicated to providing equal opportunity and representation of new theater works. This is Janelle Lawrence with the monologue, Acting.
I haven't thought about what someone else is going to think about my face in months. I mean, Zoom readings were important, but joke's on you. I learned early that being the person furthest from your camera to show off that you put on pants this morning meant that you didn't really have to look at my face. Saved on makeup and hair products. Okay, focus. This is your first audition since SARS. Wow. Honestly, any of those would have been right. Do all viruses have multiple names? Corona, COVID, SARS. The thing that gave me the opportunity to kick up my skills. At least take a bunch of workshops. And a virtual eye exam where my optometrist told me that I was looking at too many screens. Irony. But I bought my first pair of designer glasses with my stimulus check, and I'm excited for the world to see my look IRL. I can't believe this is my first audition in a year. I woke up one day feeling like I don't want to look back in 50 years from now wishing I would have made my dreams a reality. Ever since then, I've fully committed myself to the pursuit of happiness, acting. I'm ready for this. And it sucks that I had to wait a year to get into it, but I'm excited to be back. I'm excited for people to see me in real life and not base my acting on my internet speed or my camera clarity. I have been eating daily kale salads, studying up on theater superstitions. I am ready for my career to hit big. Unimaginable heights. In the heights.
Hi, Janelle.
Hi.
Thank you for that. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
You need to tell us what inspired this piece.
My partner is an actor, and I'm a writer, and she's just been talking a lot about like getting back into acting, like going back. And she had just kind of transitioned over. She used to teach acting in Rikers, and as Rikers was closing, she transitioned back to being just an actor. And so she's had this big commitment, like I'm going to go back into acting. And a few months after she made that commitment, Corona hit. And so I kind of just thought about like this idea that like, what would she feel like in a year when she goes to her first audition?
Has she performed this monologue?
Not yet, no.
No. I think you are expressing what many actors are feeling right now. The uncertainty of everything. It's such a pleasure having you. We're going to have you back later for more because we're going to be seeing your short video. So we'll talk more then.
Okay.
But thank you.
Thank you.
And that was so wonderful. Next up is an incredible actor, singer. He's been seen around the world, and he's also an extraordinary photographer and a very gifted writer. I've had the pleasure of working with him numerous times. He is a gift to us all. Please welcome James Alexander performing Moment of Fear.
Hi. My name is James Edward Alexander. I am a Black man. I am 54 years young. I have sarcoidosis. My lungs are compromised. Most police officers are afraid of me. I have no criminal record. I am an artist. But it doesn't matter because my skin is black. I'm afraid that one day I'll be stopped aggressively and commanded to get down on the ground now! Guns pointing right at me because I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. My breathing is really compromised when I get excited. I try to let the police know that I have a lung condition. He doesn't seem to hear because I'm a big black man, even though I spent a whole year losing 90 pounds. So now I'm thrown to the ground really hard, and I'm just trying to catch my breath because all the wind has been knocked out of me. So I let the police officer know I can't breathe between trying to catch any air in my lungs as his knee is on my neck. I try to struggle to get in a more comfortable position. There isn't one when you're thrown on the ground and scared and no one is listening. I start to black out. I'm crying for someone to help me, but I can't quite get the words out because the knee on my neck is really cutting off my air. My eyes start to bulge out of my head and my tongue feels thick. I now have no more air. Everything goes black. Hi. My name was James Edward Alexander. I was a black man. I was 54 years young. I had sarcoidosis. I had no criminal record. My lungs were compromised. Most police officers were scared of me. I was an artist. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore. Because 30 seconds ago, I was murdered. And you wonder why Black folks are always mad. Thank you.
James, thank you so much. So beautiful. I know that was a huge risk for you to do, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to cry or anything like that, but I'm 54 years old. I shouldn't be scared of nothing.
Well, talk a little more about that and the genesis of this piece, because it truly is so beautiful and so honest.
You know, when you see all this stuff happening on TV, and it's been happening for hundreds of years, and now it's just being videotaped. The cops have harassed me many times in my life. But we tend to not say anything. And when I saw what happened to George Floyd, I have sarcoidosis. In the back of my mind, it's always there that I could be walking down the street and they could mistake me for someone. Doesn't matter how I'm dressed. Doesn't matter if I'm articulate, because you can't really see the articulation because I haven't spoken yet. You just see my skin color. And then you jump on me. I've had cops talk to me so nastily. And I'm like, what? And I try to be nice, because you have to stay alive. You have to. And even if that cop is not going to do anything, that fear is instilled in Black men and Black people. And when I saw that, I just started writing, because all of a sudden I kept feeling like, oh my God, we're in quarantine right now because of, COVID-19, but I almost feel like, thank goodness, that could be me. And when I wrote it, I put my picture there to let my white friends know, because people of color know, and it's not to, I'm not doing it to be mean, but it's like, we were taught to make white people so they're not afraid, to always smile and show that, and walk around like this. So I wrote it, and then I posted it on Facebook, and it was nice that I got that out. But I'm gonna tell you, I haven't written in a long time. And there was a minute when I was saying, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. But that came out of raw emotion. And every time I don't read it often, but when I do, it just wells right back up in me. And that means that I'm in fear of my life. That's why I wrote it. And it was a moment of fear. It had lasted a while, but then once I got myself together and I called a few of my friends, I was able to breathe and come back, because we suppress and suppress and suppress. And I was able to, like, okay, that's just what that is. You just have to be careful. But that's what inspired me to write this. I don't know if I was rambling and it made any sense, but that was my inspiration.
Oh, I think it makes sense to many, many, many people. So I say thank you for sharing your vulnerability. And what's so wonderful about us as artists is that we have somewhere to channel all our feelings and all the rage and all the fear. And you are a writer. So keep doing that. I'm your biggest fan. Thank you for being here. I adore you. I love you. We will see you very soon.
Thank you so much for having me. And listen, God bless everybody. And it's nice to be nice. That's all I have to say.
It sure is. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Valerie David. She is a writer and the performer of the award-winning, international acclaimed solo show, The Pink Hulk, a one-woman's journey to find the superhero within, which chronicles her inspiring and comical journey as a 3-time cancer survivor. And she's working on a new solo show that was developed at Live and in Color, titled Baggage from Baghdad, about her family, how her family fled Iraq in 1941. They fled from religious persecution and how it's shaped her today. This is The Coronavirus and Lives Matter Spoken Word by Valerie David.
During the plague, the bard wrote King Lear, but living with the virus, let me be clear. Good for you, Willie, I'm just living in fear. Do I have a fever or do I feel dizzy? Corona's got me crazy and living in a tizzy. What does that mean? Am I carrying the virus? Am I the wrecking ball with Miley Cyrus? I had breast cancer stage 4 metastatic, trying to keep the head noise out. I'm a germaphobe fanatic. Say what? Bodega's hand sanitizer, $12? Hell, rather get COVID. I am paying that, I holler. Forget about COVID. Will my breast cancer return? Have a Zoom funeral, stick me in an urn. I can't take facing death from 2 diseases. The anxiety is constant and never eases. I had lymphoma, but I beat that. But will my luck hold out? That's where I'm at. Can't believe this quarantine, nothing I'd expect to ever be seen. Not happy being in a high-risk group. Need more than grandma's magic chicken soup. Waiting for a vaccine or an antidote. Feel like I'm in a castle surrounded by a moat. Seeing death's climb, trying to flatten the curve. If you don't wear a mask, you got some nerve. You're putting us at risk. Don't be hanging around me. Why are you so blind to this? Making death for free. How about the weight gain, staying home, gym closing? I'm sedentary while torturing myself watching the remake of Pet Sematary. I'm afraid my poor eating will awaken the cancer beast as I up my nightly sugar intake, partaking in a sweets feast. At 2 a.m., I eat the leftover Easter Cadbury cream eggs and wonder why I got this belly and these tree trunk legs. Passover, I'm supposed to be pious, give up leavened bread, but ain't no time for matzah, scarfing baguettes instead. My neighborhood shut down, the west side upper. Pizza, Subways, takeout, Chinese, that's what's left for a supper. It's a ghost town like a scene in the old Wild West. Take heed, walking down Broadway soon, you'll be seeing tumbleweed. I don't have Netflix, Stars, or Hulu. Don't want to spend money or my savings I will blow through. Stores empty of toilet paper and paper towels. Feel as deprived as Gilligan Island's Thurston the Third Howl. What's all the fuss over Tiger King and that murderous row when the only real king is Martin Luther, who says, we may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. 7 p.m., we celebrate the brave workers, banging pots and clapping. But there's a rise in domestic violence and all of that slapping. I'm in bed by 3 a.m. when my day is through. My bugging eyes still open till the roosters cock-a-doodle-doo. COVID, you've taken so many, leave alone legends Betty White and Sidney Poitier. Please spare another singer, Harry Belafonte. Deo, daylight come and we want to go home. Not me, Harry, I want to go out and roam. I miss someone holding me at night, caressing my thinning hair, telling me everything's gonna be all right. Missing my mom and dad, that's really getting me down. No longer mind being grounded, having that party when they was out of town. Looking down a barrel of that Corona gun, yearning for that special someone to watch the setting sun. People are hurting, crying, waiting on bread lines like my grandparents did. We're back in 1929. So I plead with the US government, quit your bickering now. Find a solution to get us through it, get back to normal somehow. Receiving the stimulus check was a noble gesture. How nice. But that dried up quick. We need more sugar and spice. Now we have a movement to stop the abuse. Black Lives Matter. Voices heard, no longer obtuse. So many killed like Taylor and Floyd because of cell video. Those guilty, justice you can't avoid. Every life has value, deserving of peaceful living. No more hurting, no more of this sinning. Let's come together in unity and hope. I'm tired of sitting around where all I do is mope. But I'm the pink Hulk from surviving cancer ×3. I'm a fighter, cancer smash. It continues to be. To conquer the coronavirus is our global endeavor. In this together, we will fight this forever. No more hospital morgues and funeral homes overflowing. No more death toll. Let's keep it from growing. Stop COVID-19 and all them murders. Lock up all those who are serial herders. We'll win in the end. Don't think that's wrong. We're in the Big Apple, the epicenter. But the hell with that. We are New York strong.
Yay, Valerie. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hello, my friend.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
I'm thrilled to have you. I mean, we've worked together several times, and you know I'm a huge fan of your work. And I'm always fascinated by your process of writing. I mean, first of all, something I picked up is it true you don't have Netflix or Hulu or any of those things?
It's true.
Wow.
Actually, it's so true. Actually, my cell phone has Hulu on it, but I don't know how to access it. It's like a free thing. So I should say Hulu on my Sprint phone, but I don't know what's going on. You know?
Well, so much of us
have all that.
So much of us have spent our time on Netflix and all those things. And obviously you have dedicated your time to creativity with coming up with this. You know, has this been a piece that's you've been working on for a while?
Actually, it started. I'm part of the Visible Ink Memorial Sloan Kettering writing program, and I've been published in that. And the head of it, Judith Kelman, said, Valerie, there's an Open Doors NYC, which is a nonprofit about victims of gun violence, and they're poets and in wheelchairs, and they have this amazing art there, and they do all these wonderful things. And they had a submission to write something about the coronavirus, and so I wrote it in May. But then what happened with George Floyd happened afterwards. So I actually, for today, updated it because it was just solely the coronavirus. And then I updated it with Black Lives Matter and what's all the injustice going on. So now it's like a twofold poem where it was about the coronavirus and my feelings about it being a cancer survivor, where being a 3-time cancer survivor is not any different from sheltering in place that we had to do. So the transition wasn't as difficult as most people, because when you're under chemo and your white cell count drops, your immune system drops. So you have to kind of, not be around large crowds and people and stay at home and be sequestered, which is exactly what was happening with the coronavirus. So I actually wrote a story about that was published in Cure magazine, and thanking also Kristen Morale of Broadway World, who also published that story as well, of 3-time cancer survivors' inspirational perspective on the coronavirus. So
Wow.
I have not been watching TV. My mom is like, I'm turning classic movies. There's Gaslight. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not watching any TV. I do have TCM and IFC. So I do
Well,
have
good.
cable. I do have cable.
Well,
You know,
this piece is, I mean, there's so much in it that just resonates. And what I love about it is that it really is about us as New Yorkers. I mean, we're both on the Upper West Side. I've had a very specific experience being here. And I hope there's a lot of people listening, because, you know, what the media is saying about New York is one thing, but what we're actually experiencing is another. And I really appreciate you saying how great we are as New Yorkers and that we will get through this.
yes, and you know what? And I want to say the world is going to get through this.
Absolutely.
And before, the poem was just about New Yorkers, but I want everyone to know it's about everyone now. Globally, we're in a fight together with stopping abuse, stopping the coronavirus. So this poem, I hope, my goal is to give hope to others, and I want this poem to speak to all of us, because we're all survivors together right now.
Well, it absolutely does.
Thanks.
I love you. Thank you for being here.
I love you too.
We'll
Thank
see
you so
soon.
much. Yes, and pinkhulkplay.com if you want to know about You Can't Mirror.
Yes, everyone check it out. Check it out. It's an incredible play.
Thank you. And
Thank
then the new
you.
one, thank you for developing it. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Next up, the amazing Nandita Shenoy. Her play, Washer Dryer, has had multiple productions across the country, including a run off-Broadway at Theater Row, produced by the Mayi Theater Company. Her most recent play, Rage Play, was supposed to have her premiere this spring at the Abrams Arts Center, produced by the Flux Theater Company. Unfortunately, like many shows through the coronavirus, it was postponed, hopefully. Hopefully we will be seeing it very, very soon. As an actor, she has originated so many roles for so many new plays across the country. And she's just extraordinary and a dear friend and colleague and collaborator. And I think we must hold some record, because both of us have done 5 productions of Monologue together. Anyway, I'm very happy to introduce Nandita Shenoy performing A Response to Recent Events.
I am not Black and I am not white. I live somewhere in between, surfing between discrimination and privilege. The events of the last weeks have torn my heart in pieces, which was already soft and vulnerable from the pandemic and the resulting isolation. I have asked myself if this is the time for me to speak. The communities which have borne the brunt of police brutality are not mine, and yet I see and hear and feel them, if only through the lens of my own experiences. I want their voices and their stories to be uplifted at this time. But I am also reminded of the times that I did not speak. The time a lighting designer said that I was difficult to light because of my complexion. The time a fellow actor suggested that it was easier to be an actor of color than to be white. The time I was asked to act more like what the white creative team perceived my ethnicity should act like. The time an artistic director asked me why the characters in my play had to be Asian if they didn't talk about being Asian. The time I thought a glowing review of a colleague's play was racist. The time my body was judged as inappropriate to represent my own ethnicity. The time a theater asked me how to deal with the fact that they had not cast enough actors of my ethnicity to support their concept of setting a play in the land of my ancestors. The time none of my mandated skin parts matched my skin. The time I was told that casting a white understudy was neutral and would allow them to cover roles of all races. The time I was told not to concern myself with identity politics, that real change would come from people who did not see color. There are many more times when I did not speak because I felt powerless or intimidated, or was honestly so surprised by what I heard, I simply couldn't respond. I was often not alone in my silence, but surrounded by more experienced, more respected, and more powerful people, all just as quiet as I was. But I've been thinking about those silent times and wondering what those people said to others after what they said to me. If they thought that because I stayed silent, it was okay. If my silence has been part of a system of oppression that I have no interest in upholding. And though I may not have had the strength to say something in that moment or that day or even that year, I am finding the strength to say something now. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Thank you.
Nandita, thank you, my sister.
My
So beautiful. I mean, we have so much history together, and I feel, because I've known you so closely for so many years, that you have spoken up and been very, very, very clear with your feelings about us as brown people. But what made me realize this is that because we're so close, we've been able to share that with each other, but we haven't been able to say it
out loud
to the world.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we could talk for hours about it, but
about it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've just been thinking so much about just all the little things that you kind of have to let go of to get by, and wondering what effect that has when so many of us do stay silent. And I know it's just a tremendous responsibility to have to speak up all the time. And I think sometimes some of us are just exhausted from doing it. But in these, what I would call watershed moments, it does feel like we do have a responsibility to say something. And I think we all have a responsibility to say something. I wrote this specifically for this piece, or for this stream. And I just added the thing about other people, because I realize I take so much responsibility on myself, but it's a kind of culture of silence that we also live in. And I think that what's happening right now is breaking that culture. And I hope that we can all, take the time to be brave.
Thank you. I mean, you have always been a leader in this fight, and I love, respect, and so love you that I can't wait to see what you come up with next, because your work is just brilliant. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Our next artist, Ricky Stevens, is a singer, songwriter, and recording artist. Ricky was the 2018 winner of the Billy Blank Jr. show, Connecticut's Got Talent, at the Wall Street Theater. She's been on tour with the Mystic Bowie Talking Dreads and recorded with the Factory Underground Studio, and has her 2 singles, which are scheduled to come out for release this year. I've had the great pleasure of working with her, and she is an extraordinary artist. Singing one of her original songs, here is Ricky Stevens with Black Boy.
I got a terrible feeling. Quick, smell these flowers. While you're still breathing. And please stay close to me, to me. They're out to get you. I know I will try to protect you with ferocity, with hope. Please stay close so they don't get you. And please don't walk out the door. Black boy, black boy, black boy, black boy, black boy, black boy. You fall again and again and again, and I have to watch again and again and again and again. They don't care, they laugh, they mock, and they ache again and again and again and again, fall again and again. So please wait for me before you decide to walk out the door. Black boy, 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 black boy. Oh, black boy. Oh, black. Thank
Ricky,
you.
my friend, I just am so always so moved by hearing your words and your voice. You have such a gift. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Tell us about where the song came from.
Okay.
I know you're such a prolific writer. You're always writing, and you often send me little clips. And this is a new one.
Yes, this is a brand new one. So I wrote this one right before, like I would say around January. I think I wrote this song last January. And I don't know, I was just kind of like in this whole little bubble in a very like artistic and writing space, very inspired by a lot of the things that were going on around me. And I happened to watch Jordan Peele's. He has done a remake of The Twilight Zone. I don't know if you've seen it yet. And he
I haven't seen it yet, but I know about it.
You have to see it. It's incredible. He has an episode where there's a Black mother trying to get her Black son to college. And she keeps getting chased down by this white cop who just kind of like always finds them. She has this weird like video camera where she can push rewind and it will rewind back. And so she'll try another route, but the cop keeps finding them. And it's almost like it's very insidious. It's almost like she can't go anywhere without this death sentence on her son. And the show it ends well. He does end up going to college, and she what's her name? Sanaa Lathan is the mother who plays the mother, and she does this powerful like Black mother's monologue at the end about pain and frustration and how she's gonna see her son is gonna have a future, and this death sentence is not gonna be the end of his life. And so she does end up getting him off to college, and it's really powerful and beautiful the way that Jordan Peele like lays it out. And I just was in tears. I was overwhelmed. It really triggered a lot of that deep fear that's underneath my smile, you know, and my bubbliness. It's there, you know. I don't want to be, you know, as a Black woman, I don't want to be seen as a victim. So I carry myself in a different way, but it's always there, you know. And I was just in tears. It made me think of, you know, my brothers and my nephews, and just, I don't know, it just kind of like woke me up. And I literally grabbed my guitar in tears and wrote that song. It just came out like that. I swear to God. And I've never, like, that was a new experience for me to write, like, to just kind of like have a song kind of just come through me. So I feel very honored to be able to sing and have presented that song. And that song will be on my album. I just recorded my album, and it will be on my album. Yes.
Fabulous. Well, and it's just crazy that you said you wrote it in January, and, you know, when we called you up to sing something, that it has such resonance, and, you know, right now. But please keep on writing. You are such a unique, beautiful voice. I'm your biggest fan, and there's a lot of fans out there. I so appreciate you joining us today and sharing that. And I definitely will be getting the album.
Yay!
Thank you, my love.
I miss you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
I will see you soon.
All right.
Just a reminder, everyone, click the donation below for the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. That's why we're all here. We any donation, small or large, is wonderful. Next up, we're going to have a video offered from one of our first writer, Janelle Lawrence.
She's nice, right? We just keep building cages. Iron is just shiny, bright, white metal, soft and malleable. 90% the blood of the people that died beforehand. We built cages before we knew properties, before we knew the effects of no sunlight, the effects of bars too close, too far. We built cages before we knew who was going in them. We were going in them. In transit, I recognize that movement is inevitable. The cage is movement. In transit, the cage is the iron and the movement. The removal of humanity at the hands of the shiny, the bright idea, and the blind spot. The malleable rules that soft white concepts form. The cage is made of iron. We built cages. We built cages. Before we learned to build houses, build families, build humanity, we built cages for shiny, bright white metal that is soft and malleable. They gave us language to try to define, and then gave us no room for definitions. My duality is not two-faced. My duality is not two-faced. My duality is complex. How many times can I split myself and repaint myself?
Wow. Please welcome back Janelle. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, welcome back. Wow. First of all, there's so much in there. My duality is complex. I think many of us get that. Talk a little bit more about that.
I feel like one of the things inside of this piece, besides the fact that it's encouraged, it has like a guided journal. So you're encouraged to ask yourself some of these questions while watching this video and then in post. And it also tells you like, go back, like after you've answered a few questions, come back. And so that comment about duality comes up in the journal, in the guided journal. And it's just, how often do you recognize your multiplicity? And how often are you allowed multiplicity? How often are you allowed to be more than one representation as a person who is Afro-Latinx, Black, queer, non-binary, femme? There are so many cages, and they create them. Sometimes they're purposeful, sometimes they're intentful. But what does that mean every time I create a cage? And what does it mean every time I put myself in a cage? What does it mean every time I'm forced in a cage? That's really where all of In Transit goes, because constantly I'm transitioning from cage to cage, from place to place, from person to person.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a long
No. I love you. Keep going. How did this piece evolve? How long ago did you create this?
I made it in quarantine, so maybe like 2 months ago in April. I have no idea why I made it. I took, so all of the photos in there are photos from my phone. I took all of them at literally random different points of my life. And I was just thinking, I guess during quarantine, I asked myself this question: whoever takes me anywhere, how do I get from place to place? What does it mean to be in transit, like a train or a subway? And then what does it mean as a person to be in transit? And also just thinking about the language of transitioning and transgender, and as a person who identifies as non-binary, but also sometimes two-spirit. My gender is in transit, my sexuality is in transit, and just finding these ways that they intertwine was where that all came from. And it just like spooked, and then I made that.
So you've had a very creative time in quarantine.
Some days, yeah. Some days, no. And that's like, that is my duality too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in all of us. I'm so inspired by your work. Thank you for sharing it with us. I can't wait to see more. You really are a gift. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Janelle. So next up, the wonderful Bill Wright, who is a playwright and the author of 4 incredible novels. I've read all of them, so go pick them up. Sunday, You Learn to Box, When the Black Girl Sings, One Foot in Love, and Putting Makeup on the Fat Boy. He is the recipient of the American Library Association Stonewall Award. He has been nominated for the GLAAD Media Award and is the winner of the Lambda Literary Award. He is also the recipient of the Millay Jerome Foundation and Edward Albee Foundation Fellowship. Please welcome Bill Wright performing Hard for Me to Believe.
The man was so big, it was hard for me to believe they could carry him plus the coffin. Jimmy is about big as my wrist, and Eartha even tinier. Of course, they put Malcolm on one side and Alvin on the other, with his arms spread out like mahogany wings, so that made it lighter. Toni wore a dress made for her from the pages of the bluest eye, and Diane was on the arm of Maya, who was on the arm of Bayard, who was wearing this coat of white lilies that spelled out down the front of it, "We've been here before." The man was so big It was hard for me to believe they could carry him. But when the glass coffin passed by me for the world to see, Jimmy leaned over and said to me, "We got thousands carrying this thing, baby. You just can't see all of them." And they put the coffin on the water, and Aretha and the Abyssinia Baptist Church choir sang, "Mary, don't you weep."
Bill, hello, my friend.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. I'm your biggest fan. I just, your writing is extraordinary. I've known you a while, and I know you have such a great love and respect and passion for Black culture and history and these icons in our business. You've written a lot about them. Talk to me a little bit about that history that you so speak about often.
Well, this particular piece was inspired by a photograph that was taken in 1968. And it is a photograph of several celebrities, Black celebrities, Eartha Kitt, Sammy Davis Jr., Nancy Wilson, Berry Gordy, and they're coming out of Ebenezer Baptist Church after the funeral of Martin Luther King Jr. And they're following the casket. Mm-hmm. And I thought, and this is not new information, how the legacy of Black people in America is following caskets. And inside those caskets are Black Americans who are in those caskets simply because they are Black Americans. And as I said, it's not new news any more than the other image that inspired this, which is the image that's burned into all of our brains of the police officer with his knee choking the life out of George Floyd. And I thought, again, this is not a new image. If you look at drawings of slavery and slaves in captivity, you will see white men with their knees on the necks of Black men. Mm-hmm. So historically, this is, again, another legacy, is the mistreatment, the cruelty, the murder of Black people. Whether it's Floyd at 47 or Breonna Taylor at 26, we continue to follow caskets of Black people who are dying because they are Black. And that was the inspiration.
Yeah. Yes. You definitely are a leader. You've always been in your work very outspoken and very passionate about truth, about many things. And you often write in your work about young people. Can you just talk a little bit about why that, and a lot of your work is for younger people, and why that is important to you?
A couple things. One, you talked about my work always being about that. And I think that what's important now, Dev, is that everybody's work is about that. And I speak very specifically to Black people, that you should hone whatever tools you have constructively to win the fight against the killing of Black people. When we talk about young people, we talk about that's where that energy begins. It begins in the home. It begins with parents, with teachers, speaking to young people, loving young people, young Black people, and letting them know that no one has a right to take your life. No one, for any reason. No one has that right. And I think that's where it begins. And I think that's why I'm so attracted to writing for young people, is to be another voice that is saying, you don't have to die because you're a young Black person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to die. No one has that right. You know, I was watching a film with the scholar Cornel West, and he was saying that hope in this world is treated as a very kind of passive thing when it should be aggressive, that you should be an agent of hope, that you should be a warrior of hope. And that's our charge at this point, I believe, is not just to wish someone hope, but to be a warrior of hope and push it forward. That's how I feel, and I was so happy to hear him say that. It's not about passively wanting and wishing and hoping. It's about actively hoping and spreading it throughout the community and saying, we will survive this. We have to. We must. We've been through too much.
Bill, you have always, in my eyes, been a warrior of hope, and you inspire so many people. You've inspired me. I learned so much from you. Thank you for joining us today. Everyone pick up his books. They are really extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Next up, Awa Salseka. Awa is a DC-based actor, writer, and educator. Recently, she was seen in Gunpowder and Blackbeard at the Signature Theater, Schoolgirls or African Mean Girl play, and Caroline or Change at the Roundhouse Theater. Cinderella and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at the Imagination Theater, and The Wiz and Into the Woods, for which she was nominated for Best Actress in a Musical for portraying the baker's wife at the Ford's Theater, directed by our own Peter Flynn. Awa is offering a piece she wrote that resonated so much with last week's viewers. We've asked her to reprise it today. So please welcome Awa Salseka.
I want to post things that make me smile. Even though my smile's gleam is fleeting, I want to post dances and selfies and songs, but I just can't shake the feeling that it's disrespectful to find joy while my people senselessly die. I'm sorry to switch up the rhythm of the poem so unnaturally, but I just can't shake the fact that no matter how hard I cry or as hard as I feel like I'm trying, those lives lost will not return. I mean, there's no such thing as undying, right? So then as a people, we're left with the question, what to do once you're out of size and empty of tears, and that answer comes quick, because then you get angry, and all of a sudden you're empty of fear, and that's a deadly disposition. To be fearless and Black in America. To be joyful and Black in America, to be jogging and Black in America, to birdwatch and be Black in America, to be young and Black in America, pregnant and Black in America, poor or affluent and Black in America, queer and Black in America, dark and Black in America, light and Black in America, asleep and Black in America, woke and Black in America, Black in America, Black in America. And just as that so repetitiously leaves my tongue, I am reminded that the spirit of that phrase has always seemed to be such a charged one, so much so that it's no longer melodious, not nearly as sweet as its song should be. Instead, it's a battle cry for anyone who feels their power is under siege. And what a privilege it must be to be free of that penetrating cacophony. Must be very nice to be in the periphery of this country's 300-year-old disease. And the craziest part to me is that it took so long for us to be seen, to be believed. I mean, really, truly, for so long we were silenced by society, by a lack of coverage in the media, and it led to a heart-wrenching, stomach-churning belief that racism was extinguished and that we were truly free. All the while, mind you, we've been throwing proof in your face for centuries, and y'all was swatting it away with annoyance as if we was buzzing bees. But thank God for technology, because now everyone can see. And honestly, I don't know how much longer I could have taken to hear. Well, at least not. It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. On March 26, 2020, a Black man's body was found hanging from a tree at 7 a.m. in the 7200 block of 7th Street, Northwest DC. A Black body swinging from a tree in our nation's capital, and we still don't know why, but it's not like it used to be. In Central Park, Amy Cooper falsely accused Christian Cooper of threatening her life, knowing how that would serve her, and that his life could have been threatened because of it. Emmett Till. But it's not like it used to be. One more. The majority of people in our prisons are Black. We are disproportionately incarcerated, imprisoned, and made to suffer in disparaging conditions. Our people are still in shackles. We still work for free. It's modern day slavery, but it's not like it used to be. Well, those people committed crimes. Pause. It's nonsensical that a nonviolent crime is enough incentive to make a Black man the government's lifelong abductee, but the cops who killed Breonna Taylor still stand free. And the president exacerbates the problem. He gives incentives to the racists in this country to act out the brutalities as ferociously as they please. Got the nerve to act like all POCs are thugs and drug dealers. Come on, bitch, please. First of all, with or without a Black man selling it, your badass kids will still find a way to smoke weed. And moreover, if you agree with any of the former, have ever made an excuse for the deadly use of force against those who have no bearing of hope in this godforsaken place, those who are still challenged when they go to claim their space as a part of the human race, and to those of you who remain silent in the face of our riots, fuck you, because there's no room in this movement for those who remain complacently quiet. I mean, you have to understand, man. If you cannot stand to make a change, then you don't stand for us. You do not stand with us. So fuck the facade and fall back then. If you cannot be moved to make moves when people in need are asking you to, remove yourself from anything Black then. You can't have our culture and not have our backs. And if you can't have our culture, you can't be American. Y'all be forgetting we built this shit. And even still, y'all can't commit to human decency. So please don't be surprised now that things are going awry. We've done everything we could to peacefully make people listen, but our screams have again and again fallen on deaf ears and numb tongues. No one wanted violence. No one wanted to see their communities come undone, but also no one knows what to do anymore. So if you're wondering, yes, that's why people in Minneapolis were burning down buildings and looting stores. They were tired. We are tired. And even though we know we should maintain a higher standard of moral fiber and we should keep calm and carry on and be strong and blah, blah, the fuck blah, we are wondering when the time will come when we can just be vulnerable with everyone. With everyone. When we can stand aside from the armor we've had to maintain for much too long and breathe deep again. When we can put away our stoicism and fucking scream and feel and release ourselves from those feelings without someone screaming bloody murder. What we want is to be free. Truly free to be without someone feeling aggressed. And listen, yes, all of this is followed by feelings of distress and helplessness. But as a person with power, you've been blessed with the ability to make people move, so do it. If you feel like you don't know what to do, I hope that you'll see to it that you talk amongst yourselves, make a list and get to it, but do not come to me. Do not press or stress Black people for a release of tension. Do not run to Black people to mention the pain you feel for their people. We should be your people because we are people. If someone of color should express some pain to you over what remains of our country, instead just make them aware that you're there. And should they come to you with the need to scream, let them express that pain to you as they so please. Don't take it personally and do not digress. Do not pull away from the stress. For just that moment, I ask you if you can manage, and you can because we've always had to. For just that one moment, help them hold it. It's the least you could do. I mean, it may feel impossible in that moment, but I know that they've held that weight in the palms of their strong hands and have been asked to stand still as they bear it and to make sure to wear a smile big enough for those in control to feel comfortable with the pain they forced us to sustain. And it truly is the stillness that's the most torturous. It's like being trapped in the body of a child while your bones are still growing, and no matter how much you scream or moan, the pain just won't go away. You feel stuck. You're unbelievably paralyzed by your strain, and then your body comes to know the hurt so well it becomes ingrained. I'm done recounting our pain. So with that said, I need you to know that the hashtags are not enough. If you've done nothing more than that, then I'm calling your bluff. Either speak up or sit down. And don't puff up when we come around with questions. Because if we ask why you do the things you do or don't do, it's because we need to know where your allegiance truly lies. Is it with America or with those within her just trying to stay alive? Answer truthfully because it's the only way we move forward. And answer thoroughly because it's the only way you move forward. Don't shortchange some of what's been ingrained in you so that you can seem as if you're more on the side of change. No. Your acknowledgement is your betterment. Hear me. Your acknowledgement is your betterment. Now say it with me. Your acknowledgement is your betterment. Your acknowledgement is your betterment. Take time with yourself to look inward and see that that's where your knowledge is better spent. See yourself in any mistakes you have made, witness them in their entirety, and if need be, make a change. But know that the fires that burn in the heart of this country are far from extinguished until change is underway. But I promise you, everything will be right with tomorrow if you help us to shine light on today. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
I'm sort of lost the word.
Oh man, no.
How was it visiting them?
Oh my gosh. It's kind of it was crazy. I wrote this poem the day that George Floyd, that I heard about his murder. And I was telling Peter, I was like, I am so grateful even the first time to have had a platform to say it out loud, because it almost felt like I released it from me, right? There was a lot of pain attached in the creation of it. But also a lot to say. I just had a lot that I needed to say. Because with George Floyd's murder came kind of this like insurgence in the country, this forward moving, like blow it blew the top off the country. Like everybody is aware and everybody's thinking more deeply and more thoroughly about this festering wound, this infection that is racism that has been here since the country's being. And people have thought that it's dwindled away because on the surface it looked like the wound was getting better, but it was still festering underneath. It felt good to release it from me the first time I performed it. But I have to say, even though I haven't performed it since that last week, coming back to it and releasing it again feels less like I am letting go of something bad or icky, and more like I am continuing a narrative of acknowledgement from myself to other people that want to know. I was thinking of titles for the poem, and I came up with For Those Who Need to Know, because a lot of people do want to know how people of color feel about what's going on right now. And we either don't always have the words to say exactly how we feel, or it's just so overwhelming that we don't want to have to talk about it with every non-person of color that we know, but it's good to facilitate the conversation when we are ready. So that's what this feels like. It feels good to come back to.
I'm glad. I mean, your authenticity. I'm so glad you've spoken, because when we talk authentically from ourselves, it actually becomes universal, and you speak for all of us in some way. I have a question. So there were no edits since last time? It was exactly.
The only edits that I have made this time was in the last poem. I said, acknowledgement is betterment. Acknowledgement is betterment. I said that 4 times, but I just made the edit. Your acknowledgement is your betterment. So the word your, I just added a little, I just thought that the word your added more responsibility and more, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but responsibility, for lack of a better word, to the person hearing it, right? Like when we choose to be.
Oh dear, I think we lost Awa. Well, that was just a spectacular performance. Awa, thank you for being with us again.
Hey,
right
awesome. Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Finish what you're saying.
No, I was just saying,
You're back on.
Hey, I just decided I would come to a different place. Forgive me. So I'm just going to stand here. When we choose to be knowledgeable of what's on the inside, whether it's bad or good or icky or happy or whatever it is, that always leads to a deeper understanding of self and a deeper capacity for understanding and empathy in the people around us. And yeah, and I added the your because I wanted to make it a point that it is our job to keep ourselves knowledgeable of ourselves for the sake of our betterment, and that our betterment is our responsibility.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this with us again. Please keep writing. We need to hear more from you. And
thank you.
Stay safe, and we will see you very soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
We have one last selection from composer lyricist Masi Asari. She's a composer lyricist, playwright, assistant professor at Northwestern. Her musicals include The Family Resemblance, which I had the privilege of working on with her, the musical Rishvor, and the Broadway-bound Monsoon Wedding, The Mirror of Most Value, and the Secret Agent musical, Sympathy Jones, which is done around the country a lot. It's a very fun musical. She has won countless awards. The Billy Burke Ziegfeld Award for Female Composers, and the most recently Go Write a Musical Lily Award. She's an extraordinary artist and amazing person. She couldn't join us live, but she did send a video of her most recent song. This is Masi Asari performing From Then.
This is a song that I wrote that I was going to sing at a concert a couple days from now, and that live stream was canceled, so I'm going to sing it today. If you're one of the lucky ones, if you're one of the ones who can breathe, if you are one of the living, if you are one of the ones who stayed safe, if you are one whose story goes from before this to after, what is the tale that you'll have to tell time and again, looking back from then to now, from then? What did you do with your anger? What did you do with the fear you felt? How did you safeguard your loved ones? Care for the ones that the world forgot? What did you tear away or break through to make way for what's new? What is your part in the tale they'll tell time and again, looking back from then to now, from then? Someone is bound to ask you, hey, back in those days, the days of the virus calling for justice, what did you do? What will you say? What will I do? What will I do with my anger? What will I do with the fear I feel? How will I safeguard my loved ones? Care for the ones that the world forgets? What will I tear away or break through to make way for what's new? What is my part in the tale they'll tell time and again, looking back from then to now, from then to now, from then to now, from then?
Thank you, Masi. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us today, especially our incredible artists that I am so humbled and inspired and moved by. Janelle, James, Valerie, Nandita, Ricky, Bill, Awa, and Masi. I am in awe of their talents and their love and their passion for making a difference in the world. And they all do make our community better and our world better. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And please, thank you for joining us today. Make sure to donate if you can at the link below to NAACP, Legal Defense and Education Fund. They are always in need of support. So please, please contribute. Please stay safe, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you again on Plays in the House. Bye.